Hey YouTube, it's Pump. I am back to give my full Fire Mage guide for the new 10.1 patch. Not a whole lot changed with the new season, but I've learned a lot more about Fire Mage since my last guide, and I wanted to cover how our class changes with tier. I'll list a table of contents on screen now. Please use it to jump around in the video. Let's jump into talents first. One of the biggest benefits about Fire Mage is that it uses the same talent tree in pretty much all of its content. Currently, Flame Strike is a dead button. You never play this, but next patch we are getting Flame Strike baseline, so that might be actually playable. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But for now, we are playing this Ignite spreading one-dimensional build where you're just building up your Ignite and spreading it all the time. So with Zero set, you are playing From the Ashes. You are not playing Alexstrasza's Fury. That is the only talent that should ever change, really, on the fire side. On your actual mage side, you can change stuff depending on what you need, like if you need Decurse or if you want Ring of Frost. If not, then you can run something more defensive like Diverted Energy. But for the most part, this is exactly what you run everywhere in the game. Again, the only thing that changes is From the Ashes if you do not have any tier. And once you get 2 set and 4 set, you're running Alexstrasza's Fury. The only exception to this, once you have tier, is that in Mythic Plus, on huge dungeon pulls, it'll probably be better to still run From the Ashes for the Mastery, because Mastery matters a lot in those big pulls. But aside from that, you'll be running Alexstrasza's Fury. That changes our playstyle a bit, and I'll go over that in the rotation guide. Moving on to stat weights, we actually did have a very minor change. So going into 10.1, Fire Mage was really undertuned, so it got a buff last second. One of these buffs included that 75% of our critical strike chance is converted to Mastery now when we press Combustion. So that is actually a significant change. So crit isn't nearly as bad as it once was, but overall, we still want Haste Mastery on everything. And then now I would put Verse and crit equal to each other compared to before critical strike was significantly worse. So as for trinkets, ideally in single target you would run the Voodoo Doll and Chromatic Essence. So the Chromatic Essence trinket is just Icon from last season, except you could put Haste or Mastery on it instead of crit. It is just a better version of that trinket in every single way. So that is great for us. Definitely try and get the Chromatic Essence, but other than that, there's plenty of viable on-use trinkets. None of them are good enough to run double on-use. We still definitely want a passive trinket and one on-use. So yeah, for AoE, our best setup would end up being Iridius Fragment and Chromatic Essence still, but plenty of other passives are viable, and plenty of on-uses are viable. Moving on to crafted gear priority. Weapons are always going to be the biggest DPS increase when doing crafted gear, so you should get 447 in both those slots as soon as possible. After that, I think your best craft is probably chest for us. This is ideally the spot we don't want tier in. If you make this with Haste Mastery, you're really, really happy, and you can also put the new armor patch on it, which is our new best embellishment. After that, for Spark Craft, you can craft whatever slot you need to fill, and then just slam the armor patch on it, and you're good to go. So our new best embellishment is the new Shadow Flame armor patch. You can craft this on only armor pieces, so you can't put it on your weapon when you first make it, but it is still looking to be very, very good for Fire Mage. The only thing to note with that is that at the very end of season, when you have sockets on everything, it might be worth it to drop an armor patch and get Lariat back. So our consumables are exactly the same as Season 1. Nothing changed, except you can now buy these potions on the auction house. You don't need a crafter to make them, so that's nice. So you're using the Potion of Ultimate Power, Phial of Tepid Verse, Faded Fortune Cookie, and the Howling Runes everywhere. That is your consumables. And as for races, Tauren and Dwarf are currently the best. Dwarf is a little bit better than Tauren if you want to play Alliance, just because of the racial. It just gets more use. But honestly, you could still play whatever race you want, and it can be viable. But I'll throw a list of the highest DPS races on the screen now. Now I want to go into our rotation with 0 tier. If you don't have any tier, this is for you. So you're going to precast Pyro on pull at around 5 seconds. You're going to Lust immediately after the Pyro sends. We Lust, and then your triple Fire Blast Pyro here. Fire Blast Pyro, Fire Blast Pyro, Fire Blast Pyro.
shifting power to get all our Fire Blast charges back, and then you're doing the same exact thing. Fire Blast Pyro, Fire Blast Pyro, Fire Blast Pyro. One Fireball to build our SKB. We hit our SKB with a Pyroclasm proc. Nice. And then you're into your full Combust go with Battle Plot here. I double Phoenix Flames here on accident. I could have pyroed one more time there. I just messed up. I had no Fire Blast charges, so that's when you use your Phoenix Flames. Fireball. Now we're into an SKB go with no rune. It's okay. Double Pyro. I'm Scorch filling, but I should be Fireball spamming here. It's just habit. So we're at the end of Combust. I build back my SKB go with rune this time, but I get frontaled. It's okay. We greed the cast, and now our lust is over. So that's your rotation for 0 set. Should look pretty similar to this. I hit around 150k in my opener, which for Fire Mage single target, that is very acceptable.
Moving on to 2 set, we're running Alexstrasza's Fury now instead of the Ashes talent. So our Phoenix Flames always crits, along with DB in dungeons. DB critting feels really good, but here's me showing off that I have 2-piece, and you can see my eye level here. I'm at 425, and I have 2 set on. So starting off, you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to hardcast Pyro and then Lust, but after you get your Rune of Power down, you immediately Phoenix Flames, because this is critting no matter what. And then we're into our normal Fire Blast Pyro spam, getting rid of all of our Fire Blast charges, and then we shifting power to get it all back. Fire Blast Pyro to get our SKB. This Phoenix Flames at the beginning critting feels really good for this. Bam, we get our Pyroclasm proc off. And now we're just filling with more Phoenix Flames, never letting that Phoenix Flames debuff fall off during our Combust go. So there I'm double Fireball. I Scorch Spam there. It's okay. And then we get our SKB go off. No more buttons, so we're Fireball spamming. About to get Phoenix Flames back. I get it back here. Apply the debuff again. And then we get our last SKB go for our Lust window. And that's the rotation. So to recap, all that really changed is that we're pressing Phoenix Flames more in the start of our ramp. We need to get that debuff off, but when you get 4 set, this will feel a lot better. Right now, if you lose 4 set for 2 set of the new one, you don't actually gain much of anything. You gain like 1% if you play optimally, but it is a playstyle change fitting in that Phoenix Flames. So once you get 4 set, unfortunately I don't have it at the time of this video, but I still want to get this video out. So all that's going to change is that you're going to get a Weakauras that tracks Charring Embers stacks, so that you know when you're about to get your Phoenix Flames that refund charges back up. So optimal play of this is going to involve like hitting 20 stacks and then immediately trying to get your SKB go back. But I could definitely see some awkward overlaps where you have an SKB ready, but you want to be pressing Phoenix Flames with your refund. So I'm hoping that that doesn't make it feel bad, but your priority should be getting out those 20 stacks to start building it again as soon as possible. This should make Phoenix Flames feel like a better button to press, but it does feel a lot like a juggling act, and it's not just a straightforward damage buff. But I do actually think that this is a good change to Fire Mage, where Phoenix Flames should feel like a good button to press, and it's rewarding, because right now we juggle like 3 things. We juggle we juggle Feel the Burn, and now we're juggling Charring Embers on top of SKB. So it's a lot of things, but you could definitely view Charring Embers as just a passive buff to being able to press Phoenix Flames again and have it be a good button. Really quickly, I'm going to go over filler. So your filler for Fire Mage is just quite simply Fireball until you crit. When you crit, you Fire Blast, and then you spend your Pyro. That is literally it. The only optimization comes in at the end when you're about to get your SKB proc. So around 6 or 7 stacks, you need to be aware of how many Fire Blast charges you're at. So I'm always critting on the training dummy, but in actuality, when it's below 90% HP, you're not going to crit here. So yeah, you just want to be preserving your Fire Blast charges as best as you can, going into your SKB go, and here I can time it with my Combust as it comes up. And there you go. That's as optimal as it gets. So just to recap, for filler, you are spamming Fireball until you crit, you Fire Blast charge, and then you Pyro. And then you repeat the process. Sometimes if you crit with that Pyroblast, you would then Fire Blast charge again and keep that cycle going. But still the same process. To close out this video, I want to go over my Weakauras. I think there's 5 Weakauras you should have. So let's start off with the int buff. So whenever someone who died with intellect gets rezzed, this will pop up on your screen reminding you to rebuff them with int, whether that's in raid or in M+. Before I got this Weakaura, there was plenty of times where I would forget to rebuff them, and if you're outside of Combust, pressing this button again is going to give you, well, it's going to give the raid or the party way more damage than you outside of Combust. Trust me, we're not doing any damage outside of Combust. So, moving on, I use a Pyroclasm tracker. This tells me how many stacks I have of my Pyroclasm and the seconds remaining on it so that I don't miss Pyroclasm procs when I'm in Combust or outside of Combust even. It's just good to know the exact time right in front of me. Next thing is the Rune of Power time remaining, and if I'm in range of it. I mostly use it for the range, but knowing the time left and knowing if I can hard cast a Pyro is useful, so I use it for that reason as well. The one that everyone always asks me about is my SKB Weakauras. This is the one that shows up like on the sides of my screen when it is ready to go. It is very, very useful, and it also tells you the exact time remaining of how much time you have to spend the proc. This is very clutch. The last one I would suggest is a mouse cursor, because sometimes we can get hectic and lose track of our mouse. But yeah, those are my 5 Weakauras. I will link everything down in the description below for my talent trees and my Weakauras. That'll do it for this video. I'm going to give away 3 log reviews down in the comment section down below. Special shout out to Villain for supporting me and wanting to do this giveaway. I thought it was a great idea. So if you guys want your logs reviewed, feel free to comment your logs down below, and I'll respond to 3 people a week from when this is posted. Your logs do not have to be Fire Mage. It can be any class, and I will do my best to figure out what's going on wrong. Thanks a bunch for all the support, guys, and I will catch you in the next video.